Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. I am Adam Bentley. I am one of the co-creators of the Jewish Edmonton Stories, along with Paula Kerman, who is the moderator this evening. Once again, thank you everyone for joining. It looks like we have about 27. We're expecting we could have up to 50 people over the course of the evening. So we'll get right into it. I'm just going to go over some guidelines for the meeting. For the session rather. Everyone is muted except for the presenters. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat, and the presenters will answer as many as possible at the end of the session. If you're wondering why you can't see others' questions, it's because only the presenters can see the full chat. And as you may have noticed, the event is being recorded to be posted on social media and the website later. So if you don't want your face on it, feel free to turn your camera off, or for whatever reason, you can turn your camera off if so desired. So we'll get right into it. Before we proceed, I want to acknowledge that the presenters are on Indigenous land in Treaty 6 territory. Land occupied, traveled, and cared for by Indigenous peoples since time immemorial. This place, Amiskwasig-Waskahigan, Edmonton, is a traditional meeting ground, gathering place, and traveling route of the Nehiwak, Anishinaabe, Niitsitapi, Métis, Inuit, Dene, and Nakota Sioux. The histories, languages, and cultures of these peoples enrich our shared heritage. As Jewish people living in this space, we have the responsibility to uphold the spirit and intent of treaty, including understanding perspectives and experiences of people who are settlers, Jewish, Indigenous, and a combination of intersecting identities. Too often, agreements between nations are excluded from the stories we tell about the past, this place, and ourselves. We must be truthful about what has happened in our communities and make meaningful decisions about who is included, who is represented, and how we reflect. We're committed to upholding the City of Edmonton's Indigenous framework, responding to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada's calls to action and the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, because we are all bound by the treaty and the land. I'm just going to first get into an overview of what is Jewish Edmonton Stories Online. It is a project for visitors to learn and connect with the stories and places of the Jewish communities past and present. The project maps important places in Edmonton's Jewish history, documents stories from people in the community who have connections to these places, and presents these stories through our interactive website. The concept was developed by Jewish Edmontonians and heritage practitioners, that's Adam Bentley, myself, and Paula Kerman. We were inspired to embark on this project through our desire to build an online hub of local Jewish history and culture. This website is intended to be an important reference tool for people in Edmonton and beyond, and also a way of connecting the Jewish community during the COVID-19 pandemic. All of the interviewees are longtime residents of Edmonton's Jewish community, and all these interviewees the interviews included, amongst a number of questions, include the following questions. What places in Edmonton are important to you as a Jewish person? What are your memories and stories of these places? If any of these places no longer exist, what do you miss about them? We hope to grow the website over time with more interviews. If you would like to be considered for an interview or would like to suggest potential interviewees, you can contact us at stories@jewishedmontonstories.ca. That email address is on the website. You can also suggest locations we may have missed. We would like to thank the Edmonton Heritage Council, the Jewish Archives and Historical Society of Edmonton and Northern Alberta, and the Jewish Federation of Edmonton for their support in this project. I'm just going to briefly go over the team members. I'm going to talk about myself first, Adam Bentley. I'm an Edmonton-based film producer, Jewish heritage practitioner, and also a founder of the International Festival of Winter Cinema. I produce video works on Jewish culture and heritage in Alberta. I was twice awarded the highly competitive Edmonton Arts Council's Cultural Diversity in the Arts grant, and also the Alberta Foundation for the Arts Cultural Relations grant. My works have been screened at film festivals across Canada, the United States, and Europe on Air Canada and CBC Television. You can find many of my works through searching the Edmonton Public Library's media database with Alexander Street Press. When not filming, I'm biking summer or winter in Edmonton's River Valley. And now I'd like to pass it over to Paula.
Thank you, Adam. My name is Paula Kerman, and I am also one of the developers of Jewish Edmonton Stories Online. I've worked with Adam on a number of projects over the years, including film projects, and we're working on another film project right now that has a Jewish theme to it. I'll leave it at that at the moment. I've lived in Edmonton my entire life, and my Jewish identity often influences and informs my work in art. I am a writer, editor, photographer, filmmaker, musician, and community organizer. In my professional life, I'm a freelance communications person and digital storyteller, and I work mostly with nonprofit organizations and community media. I have received numerous awards for my community and media work, including the Human Rights Champion Award from the John Humphrey Center for Peace and Human Rights, and the Merit for Advocacy of Social Justice from the Edmonton Social Planning Council. In what is left of my spare time, I also enjoy cycling and performing and writing music, and I'm currently pursuing a master's degree at the University of Alberta at the School of Library and Information Studies. And now we're going to turn it over to Stuart, who is our website developer. I'm just going to pin him to the screen here. Take it away, Stuart.
Great. Thanks very much, Paula. Hi, my name is Stuart. I'm an Edmontonian. I was born here and raised here. I grew up in the Garneau neighborhood, and as an Edmontonian, a committed Edmontonian, I feel a great joy living in this city, and I certainly feel like it's got like a very sort of rich kind of cultural tapestry that makes it up. And I'd just like to say that it's been an honor to kind of participate in working on this project, which I think recognizes part of that cultural heritage that is, what Edmonton is. With regards to my technical contributions to the project, I worked to, implement all of the kind of like the back end stuff that you don't really get to see, I guess, on the website. So I'd like to finish it off by saying that it was a pleasure and an honor to participate. So thanks very much for having me on board. And should I pass it over to Matana? I think I will. I'll pass it over to Matana. I think you're muted, sorry.
Is this better? Okay, thank you so much, Stuart. Hi, I'm Matana. I was the transcript editor on this project. I'm a very proud graduate of the Edmonton Talmud Torah, the new building, not the older ones, as well as Ross Shepherd High School and very recently McGill University. I completed my BA where I double majored in sociology and Jewish studies and minored in history. I am a very proud Edmontonian, even though I'm living in Montreal. I do still cheer for the Oilers in case anyone is worried. I spend my workdays at Chai Lifeline, which is a non-for-profit organization that supports families affected by illness. And because I was so involved in the Edmonton community, I thought I have to be involved. And when I was able to see this project and hear about it, I jumped at the chance to be on board. So I'd like to thank Adam and Paula and Stuart for giving me the opportunity to still feel like I'm at home, even if it's from a distance, and getting to learn so much more about its history through all of the amazing people who contributed. So thank you again to everyone who took part. And we'll pass it back to Adam.
Thank you so much, Matana. At this point, I'd like to pass it off to Paula, who will introduce some of our storytellers who are present this evening.
Yeah, we have a number of people who are featured on our website that I'm just going to call out the names of the people who are here, and you can give a wave. First of all, we have Esther Starkman, who along with her husband Howard were interviewed on our site. Really thrilled to have Lawrence Bliss, who is here. I'm sure he's there in the background with Sherlan. We have included the Zelmanowicz brothers. We have Hal Zelmanowicz here tonight. Really glad that you could join us. And like I said, if you would like to turn your cameras on and wave hello to the audience, that would be super, but you don't have to. We have Bernie Adler, who is a wonderful interview. And we have one of the first people who I interviewed was Rabbi Ari Drelich, who's, hi Rabbi Ari, whose interview was actually the first one that we made public that people could see and get a real taste for what we were doing with this website. And I'm just taking a look at the names. We have several people from the Edelman family who are here. Judy Edelman is one of the people who is featured on the site. I'm not sure if she is here tonight. And of course, we have Debbie Schachter, who is an absolute font of information about all things Jewish Edmonton, and was also one of the first interviews that we did, and was absolutely amazing. So I'm just doing a quick look at the names. I think that's everybody for who's featured on the site, right at who's in the room right now at this moment. And thank you all for being here. I'm going to toss it back to Adam now.
Thank you so much. Paula, would you like to start by giving a tour of the website?
I would very much like to do that. I'm just going to get my video ready for that. So of course, we're talking about Jewish EdmontonStories.com is the website. You can bring it up if you happen to be at your computers. You can bring it up on your browser. It's totally live right now. I am going to share my screen and just give a really quick tour of the site and to give you an idea of what you can find there and how it works. Just give me a moment. Just going to just wait 1 second here. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Ta-da! This is the main page of Jewish Edmonton Stories online. We wanted a very sleek look that would look at in a browser as well as on mobile. And on the main page, you will see the purpose for the site that Adam talked about earlier, and as well as our land acknowledgement and our sponsors, to whom we are extremely grateful. And the main thing that you'll see also is that we have this map, and the map has a number of locations that are pinned on it using Stars of David, as well as numbers indicating where there is more than one location that happens to be right at the same place. There are places that used to be something and then they became something else. So we wanted to indicate that. Otherwise, it was getting really, really cluttered with and hard to navigate. So if there's a number of different ways to explore the site, you can just click on a location of the map and it zooms further in, and it will tell you this was Alberta Bakery. So if you click through, you'll get another map that shows more specifically where that location was. a description including the precise location. If the building is now something else, it'll indicate what it is now. And you'll get a list of people who mention that location in their interviews. Another way of exploring the site, I'm going to go back to the main page. You could just pick a storyteller at your preference. And when you click through, and I'm going to pick Esther Starkman because she happens to be here tonight. All of our storytellers have their own page. Their page features their video. Their page also features a transcript that you can either just read it, and the transcript follows the video. And Matana did an absolutely wonderful job with correcting our transcripts and making sure everything was accurate. And you can read it, and where there are words that some visitors may not know what they mean because they're in Yiddish or Hebrew or refer to something specifically in the Jewish religion. This is a website that's aimed not only at the Jewish community, but at the general community as well. It will link to our glossary of terms that has all of the Hebrew, Yiddish, and religious terms that are used in the various transcripts. But we're going to go back now to Esther's page. There we go. And not only can you read the transcript, but you can also download it in PDF format if you would like as well. And we felt that this was an important thing for people who might be doing research to be able to read the transcript, download it, and read it at their convenience to be able to glean the information that they need from it. All of our videos are also closed captioned. I'm not sure if you can hear, I'm not using the original audio in the computer, but if you click on the CC, you get basically the same thing that is in the transcript. You can follow it on the screen. This was very important to us because we wanted to create a site that was very, very accessible to all users. And we think that we achieved that. Some of the interviewees have more than one video, and Esther Starkman is one of the people that does have more than one video. So where someone has more than one video, we divided it up by topic or by location, and these expand into another video and transcript about the Talmud Torah's first location, and then the subsequent Talmud Torah locations. She talks about the Jewish cemetery in Evra, Khadijah, as well as Beth Israel. And this was one of our longer interviews. Some of our interviews are also just 10 to 15 minutes and are shorter. You can also explore by the index of location themselves. So all of these locations have a pin on the map. But instead of going through the map, you can just click on, say, Menorah Academy, and it will go straight through to Menorah Academy's page, again, with the larger map, pinpointing the exact location where it was, and with a short description and the list of people who talk about that particular location in their interviews. Only locations that are mentioned in interviews are discussed or are pinned on the map. And we know that there are places that probably should be there but aren't. And we're hoping over time to expand the site we have a contact us section where you can contact us to let us know who or what we've missed, and we'll put it on the list. And hopefully we'll be able to get more funding to expand the project in the future as well. I think that is pretty much the overview of the site itself. And just a reminder as well that if you do have any questions, you can drop them into the chat to be answered a little bit later in our program. So I'm going to ask, actually, I'm going to turn it over to Adam and ask if I've missed anything that I should point out here.
Did you go through the glossary and everything?
Yeah,
like that?
yeah. You can also go
Okay.
directly to the glossary. Like all of the terms that are highlighted in the transcripts, click through to the glossary, which isn't too terribly long. And you can find all of the terms there. Yeah. And we also have
would you like to
we have a
Oh,
search
sorry.
bar that you can just like, it's similar to a Google search. If you're looking for a particular term or a location, and as a way to bypass the indexes, you can do a search that way.
Paula, would you like to talk about the process of filming the interviews?
That was interesting. So the process of filming the interviews, we began filming in early 2021. And we had funding to do 20 interviews. Most of the people interviewed individually. We did have Dr. Eric and Alexis Schloss did their interview together, and Barry, Danny, and Hal Zamanowicz did their interview together. And because of Alberta health regulations due to COVID, most of the filming and the interviews, which were done by me, and then subsequently the video editing and the uploads to YouTube, were done via Zoom. It was only Esther and Howard Starkman, who were the last two people to be interviewed, who were interviewed in person in the spring, at the time that the health, the gathering restrictions and such were starting to lift. So it was definitely, for myself as a filmmaker and as an interviewer, it was definitely a very different way of doing the interviews, but it worked. And the quality of the interviews, like it's really the stories that speak for themselves and not necessarily the way they were filmed or the medium that really speaks for themselves.
Thanks for sharing that. Stuart, would you like to talk a bit about the technical side behind the website, like the functionality of how it all works?
Sure, yeah. So it's a WordPress website, and WordPress kind of provides a number of plugins that you can use and configure to kind of meet your use cases and scenarios. And kind of like with the guidance of Adam and Paula, we kind of like set up on a set of requirements for the website, you know, kind of a dynamic and evolving set of requirements. We wanted to be able to kind of like show how the city kind of like lays out and has all of these kind of stories associated to all of these different places that are in the city. And so we, you know, found and configured a plugin to kind of lay down a map, and then we plugged in the coordinates of all of these locations, you know, on the map, and made them interactive and linked them to all of the interviews and so on and so forth. I'm not sure what else I should say about it, but you know, that's, I think, the long and the short of the technical stuff. You know, there's links, and there are you know, interactive elements on the page that were configured to kind of make, with the goal of making the site as interactive and convenient as possible.
Stuart, can the site be, can additional points and interviews be added in the future?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. They're all of the, so WordPress has two sort of categories of like page. It's got pages, which are kind of like these more static kind of repositories of information. And then it's got posts, which are kind of like really easy to add kind of just as you wish. And each location is a post kind of behind the scenes. And so by adding a new post to the website and by adding a new post to the website, you're provided with a widget at the bottom of the post creation page that lets you, add a pin to the map that associates it to this main map that's on the main page. And then, all of the rest of the stuff, like, the video or the, sorry, there aren't videos on the locations. The videos on the people's are on the storytellers pages, but yes, more locations can be added. The plugin supports that.
Excellent. So we have a couple of questions here. One question is, could you elaborate on what is the term Jewish heritage practitioner? So what I would say, how to describe it is, it's simply a person who studies and works in the field of heritage knowledge, heritage preservation, obviously like from a Jewish perspective as a Jewish person, not that you have to be Jewish to study Jewish heritage, but that is what it basically describes at the professional level. Paula, is there anything you want to add to that?
I don't think so. That covered it pretty well. Like, I'm someone who has focused on Edmonton's Jewish community and in other aspects of my work as well. I used to write for the JESO, the Jewish Archives and Historical Society of Edmonton and Northern Alberta. I used to write for their newsletter on a regular basis. And I have explored Jewish themes in other projects that I've worked on, including my songwriting and my journalistic endeavors. So that's kind of what that refers to, is exactly like you said, Adam, like a heritage practitioner with that Jewish angle to things. Just a reminder that if you have a question, you can put it into chat. The chats is going directly to myself and Adam as the co-hosts, so that we can just answer your questions. They're not going to the entire room. So if you do put in a question, we can address that.
The next question is, how many more videos will be filmed? So at the moment, we've filmed all the videos that we have, or we've already filmed all the videos we plan to film within this individual phase. But if we get future funding, and if we get a number of stories from additional storytellers, then we'll be definitely more than happy and interested to produce more videos. Yeah. Paula, would you like to add anything to that?
No, that was a good answer to a good question. We have just got another one coming in that the people who took part in the project, they had the chance to give us feedback prior to the site's official launch. So the question is, how did we use the comments that were received? Well, we were able to implement a number of them. For example, it was suggested that we implement a search function, that we implement the contact us to make sure that people know how to reach us and how to let us know if there's anything we're missing. There were people who sent in quite a number of corrections, further corrections to transcripts. There were some links that were not working properly. There were some navigational elements that were a little harder to deal with that we smoothed out. There were some comments that we got and suggestions that were excellent, but we didn't have the capacity at that point to be able to implement all of them. So we've kind of put those in a file. And like I said, hopefully we're going to have the chance to further develop the site and incorporate more elements to it.
Fantastic. So there was someone asked a question about future plans, and basically, so obviously we're limited by the resources we have, but apart from adding additional interviews and points on the map, we would be definitely interested, once maybe public gatherings are more encouraged, to make it more interactive by perhaps adding a QR code on sides of buildings or lampposts or like spots around the city, that people could take their phone and take a picture of the QR code, and it would link directly to the video or the page with the videos for that location, so people can watch or they can go to the spot and they can watch these storytellers, and it would become sort of like a self-guided tour of sites of interest and importance to the Jewish community in Edmonton. So, Ashika, could you resend your question to me, please, if possible?
I'm not sure she can hear. I've got it.
Oh, okay.
Hang on. You're supposed to be getting the questions too. I don't know why you're not. Okay.
Oh, okay. There you go. I see now. So what the question is, what is the relationship between Jewish people in Edmonton and the traditional peoples of this land? So our land acknowledgement was written and developed based in consultation with the Edmonton Heritage Council. We use theirs as a basis for ours. So that's an interesting point about what is the relationship between Jewish people in Edmonton and the traditional people of the land. Obviously, many Jewish people did arrive to Edmonton in subsequent eras of settlement and colonization. But at the same time, there are people who identify as Jewish and Indigenous through, I guess, mixed cultures and through mixed backgrounds. So we were very, like, actually, developing the land acknowledgement was like a very interesting process for us, because we wanted to make sure that it was specific and inclusive, but also, or specific and also that it was inclusive of different experiences. And, you know, obviously everyone has their own unique experience and connection to the land. That's mine, for example, when I'm asked to self-identify sometimes on like a form, I sometimes say like I'm a settler on the land because I'm not an Indigenous person. That's my choice and my method of self-identifying. Paula, would you like to expand on that topic?
Am I muted? Hang on.
You're not muted now.
I am not. Oh, okay. I've got the screen share going, and I've got like all the controls for the room going at the same time. And yeah. I feel as a Jewish person, and I mean, just kind of to kind of echo some of what Adam said, as a Jewish person and a settler to this land, I believe that we are all treaty people, and we're on Treaty 6 territory. And while we are settlers, we also have issues of identity and how we fit into this land as people who maybe more recently became settlers or are only first or second generation, and how we relate then to the history of the land and learning about the history of where we live and how we fit into that, and how we can be good allies and to be part of this place that we call Edmonton.
Thanks for that.
Not really sure if that helps shed any more light on it, but
I think it just reflects the new and unique nature of adding like a Jewish specific land acknowledgement to a project such as this. A lot of people, when they think about what is our own relationship to this land, or they think about indigenous issues, indigenous cultural issues, they think it's like a Crown First Nations relationship. But really, as Paula identified, and as we do outline in the acknowledgement, that we are all bound by treaty and the land. So this is a relationship that is really between like ourselves and the land, and indigenous and non-indigenous people to this land. Any other questions? I don't see any from my end at the moment. But Paula, would you like to tell an interesting story about as part of creating the website?
Oh, interesting story. Interesting in what regard?
Would you like to talk about, I guess, like a particularly like a poignant or memorable moment in creating the project?
I think that a lot of those moments happened in the stories themselves, because it seemed like in almost every interview, there was something new or unexpected that either came up in the interview, or that I learned about the history of the community or the person themselves, including, and like my father is one of the people who was interviewed. I decided to test our questions on him first, and the interview came out so well that decided to keep the interview. And even he had a few things to say that I had no idea about. There were some very funny moments. The Zalmanowicz brothers are just so wonderful and playing off of each other, and the stories about when they were kids and everything. And I think that every interview was very unique and had elements to it that make them all definitely worth watching. I'm wondering if we have any of our storytellers here who would like to maybe speak to the experience of being interviewed and being included on the site. If you'd like to say something, feel free to unmute yourself, and I will pin you. And if you want to talk about your experience with being interviewed by me and being on the site. Of course, you don't have to if you don't want to, but I know a few of you are here tonight. So if you would like to unmute and say a few words, that'd be great. Oh, in the meantime, we have another question that came through. How did we decide who to invite in this first round of the project? Well, that's a very interesting question as well. So when we started the project, we had an initial list of people who we thought might be interesting to talk to, just based on my knowledge of the community and my knowledge of people who have been here for, if they're not even originally from Edmonton, but have been here for a long time. And we ended up going with a slightly different list. When we first applied for funding from the Edmonton Heritage Council, we actually weren't successful in our first application, and we were invited to reapply. And when in between those two applications, unfortunately, a number of people who we wanted to interview passed away. And that added kind of a sense of urgency to our application, because we want to preserve some of this history. And we did do a community call out. It was included in JESO's section in the Weekly Federation e-newsletter for a number of weeks, and we didn't get a huge response. So we just started asking people if they would like to take part. And some people said yes, some people said no, and some people just kind of directed us to other people. And it just kind of went around like that until we had the 20 interviews, which is what we were funded for. And we're hoping, as we both said, to hopefully expand that over time.
I think you covered it pretty well. One thing that I was going to mention, that a theme I felt that ran through the interviews is, at this time where we're sort of all kind of isolated and a lot of social activities are not really happening as much as they were before, or at all, everyone really appreciated this opportunity to connect, to reminisce about the past, and also think about the future as well, and think about what makes a space like a Jewish space in Edmonton, or a space that's like important to the Jewish community, or to a person for their connection to their connection with Judaism. So that was like a very interesting theme that I found. And also, as someone who moved to Edmonton, who has not been, just a few years ago, I really appreciate the opportunity to meet and interact with like other Jewish people in the city, despite obviously the isolation. Any other questions, or anyone else want to say anything else?
One thing about the list of locations is that they, like, of course, there are synagogues and the Talmud Torah and the kosher butchers and very locations that are very much associated with the Jewish community. But at the same time, there are also a lot of locations that are not specifically Jewish that are included in the list, but they're part of the stories of these individuals and kind of make up the whole mosaic of the Jewish heritage of the city. So that's something that I found very interesting as well, was just how many locations came up that were not specifically Jewish. I just heard someone say hi, say something. Someone say something.
Hi, plus Bernie Adler talking.
Hi, Dr. Adler. How are you doing?
Doing fine. I just wanted to mention that I'm so happy that you interviewed me, because I was on the board of the Alumni Council as a president of the Alumni Council, and Tevi Miller was also, as there were two members of that were presidents of the Alumni Council, and also was on the board of governors, and so was Tevi Miller. So there are two Jewish people that were involved with the University of Alberta. And also you had Meyer Horowitz was a president, and he's Jewish. And he was also another Jewish man, the president of the University of Alberta. So people might know that I was involved with the University of Alberta representing dentistry for 10 years. And I have a nice plaque of recognition to show that I was on the board of governors and alumni council. So anytime I had a child graduating from university, I was at head platform, and I was able to walk across and shake their hand. And now, since I reached the age of 91, if I go back, I was on the Senate. So at any time there's a convocation, I can go and be on the front platform. And because I'm almost the last man standing, I'm pretty close to where the president sits at the front when you march in. I don't think I'll be going anymore, but that's not too many people who know some of that history. I thought it'd be interesting if that got out.
Thank you, Dr. Adler. And yes, that is a very interesting aspect of your interview that was in there. Thank you for sharing that. Thanks.
You're welcome.
We've got about 10 more minutes left in our program. We're trying to wrap it up by 8 o'clock. There was another question that came in asking if there are any social media linked to this project. So we don't have a Facebook or a Twitter or anything like that at this time. There is a YouTube channel that is associated with the project. So you'll notice that on the site, all of the interviews are loaded up on YouTube, and you can click through to the actual YouTube channel if you want to watch the videos in their various playlists on YouTube. You can do that, and expanding it to a social media component is something that we are considering in the future. Thank you for that question. I see we have Leah Goldford has her hand up. Leah was also one of our storytellers, wasn't here at the beginning of the program when I was introducing everyone, but she's here now.
Hi. So first of all, I want to say it was like a lot of fun to be filmed. I think I would have appreciated having some of the questions ahead of time so that I could organize my thoughts better. Further to what Dr. Adler said, so that's a question that I have. If you know, after the interview, you think of all these things that you should have said. It's like talking to anybody in any interview. And is there some way to either self-film and send in those anecdotes to you, or like what's going to happen that way? I also noticed lastly that I didn't see the call out on the list of locations.
It should be that it should
I just didn't see it, but
oh, okay.
You know,
it's there.
Yeah. Anyway, that's
it's there. It's there. Woo! My heart just jumped out of my chest.
No. So I was also thinking, you know, IGA kind of played a pivotal role in the development of the Jewish community from the 1960s on. So,
you know, I realized that one of the reasons why I did all of the interviews on the site except for the one of me that Adam did. And the reason I did that is because there were some places that nobody mentioned that were so important, and IGA was one of them. So
it's one of those
IGA
things
on there.
I thought of also afterwards. So anyway, everybody did a great job. I can't wait to go through all the various interviews. Anyway, thank you again.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you for taking part.
And if you are interested to send in like a self-tape video, you're more than welcome to. If it's a really big file, then just let us know and we'll arrange a way to, you know, do a file transfer on like a shared drive or something. But definitely we'd be more than happy to for you to send in any sort of materials that you through that email address.
Nice.
Yeah. Might even be a good idea, because I'm sure there's lots of people in the community who have lots of stories, but they might not want to be interviewed. Maybe they just want to, you know, do that. Have a place where you can just upload your little video. Anyway, whatever. It's just a thought.
There's a lot of different, we're hoping that now that the site is out there and getting some attention, that there'll be more people coming forward, either wanting to be interviewed or wanting to share a story somehow with us. I think that when you start off with a project like this, in any kind of situation, people kind of don't know what to make of it. They don't know ultimately what's going to happen. So that's one of the reasons why, like, a lot of the people who were interviewed are people I know personally. And so now you can see that, you know, this is something that we're intending to have as a you know, a really credible resource for sharing these kinds of stories. I think we have time for maybe one more question, or if there's, again, like if one of our storytellers wants to wants to share something.
Paula, can I just throw out there that I
Sure. Oh,
really
who's-
appreciate all.
Sure,
Oh,
who's that?
sorry,
Oh,
it's Francie.
hi,
Francine over
Francie.
me.
Yeah, let me just get you. Let me just.
Oh, don't spot.
Oh, you don't want to be spotlighted. Okay.
That's okay. I just want to thank you and Adam. You put in a lot of work, a lot of, I can't even imagine the hours. I just wanted to say, if I came in late, I'm sorry, I'm in Calgary, just got here, but if somebody already did this, I'm sorry to repeat it, but I wanted to thank you very much for all the effort you put out. And I hope this is something that we will have for many, many years to come for people who, for whom these stories are brand new. So that's all. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Francie. Francie is also one of our storytellers, and thank you so much for taking part. And thank you all for taking time out on a busy weekday evening to come and join us. I think unless anyone has any more, has another question or something to share, I think we're going to wrap it up. I'll toss it back to Adam for, oh yeah.
I just want to reiterate what Francie said. It was a huge project, and you and all your co-workers did a phenomenal job. But I also wanted to ask, because I'm a bit of a Luddite, if one wants to watch this, do you go on to YouTube under the title of the program, Jewish Edmonton, or how does one do it?
All of the videos are embedded in the Jewish Edmonton Stories website, so you can play them directly in the website itself. You do not have to leave the site to go to YouTube. You just click the play button that's in the middle of the video, and it will just start playing on the page itself.
So just go to jewishedmonton.com.
jewishedmontonstories.com. I'm going to drop that into the chat. Again, the address for the website is jewishedmontonstories.com. And everything, yeah, you can leave the site to go to YouTube, but you don't have to. Leah, did you have another question? Or is your hand just still up?
No, I have a suggestion.
Okay.
You know, because the site is being launched, I think it would be good to put a paragraph together and send it out to the synagogues, so that when they send out their bulletins with the URL and whatever else you want to say, so that people start to go to the website and that there's traffic there.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
We tried to get the synagogues to put the notice when we were looking for people to interview, but unfortunately it didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that would be a tougher thing to convince them to do, other than just to advertise the website for you, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that they'll do that. Anyway, I'll try and make sure that, as the past president's wife, that I get them to do that for you this week, okay?
Okay. Okay, it's almost 8 o'clock, so I think we're going to wrap it up. I'm just going to throw it back to Adam if he has any last words.
Thank you, Paula. Nothing else from me, but if you have any further questions or comments or suggestions, you can feel free to email us at stories@jewishedmontonstories.com. I realize also you can access it through jewishedmontonstories.ca, and we will send the link out to other e-bulletins. If you want to follow it further on social media, I know Paula and I have been posting on our own social media. You can follow me through Instagram and Twitter at YEGFilm. So YEG like the Edmonton Airport code, FILM. And Paula, would you like to share your social media?
My social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is, I'm just going to drop that into the, I am apologetics at apologetics. So if you're looking to connect with me on social media, that's how you do it.
That's a very Canadian social media. Like apologizing or something.
Well, apologetics has another meaning as well.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for your
Yes.
time with us this evening.
Yes,
Good
thank
night.
you, everyone. Thank you for coming. Enjoy the site. If you have any feedback, even if you find a broken link or something incorrect, we want to know about it. So please, please be in touch.
Yeah.
And again, thank you so much for coming tonight.
You're
And the
welcome. Is it
storytellers.
okay for us to put it up on our WhatsApp groups?
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. Done.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Good
Bye.
night. Bye-bye.